Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great episode. Alejandro Salamone here, um, back on the mic on today's topic, wanting to share a few things that just came through for me in this moment. And just felt really inspired as I always am when I do these, to come here and share with you what's coming through. So I recently got initiated with Reiki, and also to magnified healing. And both of these modalities are strictly working with energy. And they are quite remarkable. They are truly advanced technology that is available to all of us, really. And that's the beauty of it. And it is here to help us and to help each other. And I want to talk a little bit about that, but that's not going to be the main topic. The main topic here is to piggyback on the original podcast I did here when the planetary alignment took place, and expressing how this year would be a very important year, in the coming years as well. This year and the coming year, the next 2 years, are going to be really fundamental, and a lot of things are going to be happening. So this is all related to that, but I wanted to first talk a little bit more in depth with this, in correlation with this experience that I recently had with Reiki. And so it was really, really, really powerful, really amazing. And I've done my spiritual path has been when I first started, very simple, with just meditation, not even knowing what meditation was, but tapping into that naturally was how I began to heal. I began to really understand myself, my thoughts and my emotions. And that was back in 2016 when I first stepped into my spiritual journey or path. And that lasted for quite some time. That evolved, I should say. It took some time to evolve. And back then in 2016, it was a thing, but it was before COVID. So it wasn't as much of a thing, if you will, than it is now, reflecting back. And just coming from a very different background, and never really being exposed or influenced or encouraged in any way around spirituality in my life. It was something that just came, that started with closing my eyes and being able to feel peace, clarity, understanding, and breathing. And that's when breath work came, or the understanding of the power of breath. Also, one day sitting at the beach and closing my eyes, feeling so many emotions, and having that breeze of the ocean coming through, and taking that deep breath, and then releasing it, and upon releasing it, feeling that shift inside of myself, and how that changed everything. How that really was impactful and emotionally, mentally, in every way. And so this continued on forward, and I got deeper in my meditations, and then I was doing one-on-one coaching after leaving corporate world, after being in the military, all these things, right? If you're interested in my story, I have a whole video on that you can go check out. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, But the point I want to make is I also talk about plant medicine, and I have had that experience when I stepped into plant medicine, studying with indigenous people, different indigenous tribes throughout Central and South America, or traditions, and working with different plants as well, sacred plants that these people work with and have been for thousands of years, and that do have medicinal properties, spiritual healing, spiritual cleansing, and that they do work very effectively. Had the opportunity to also go to the jungle, to the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, and spent 40 days there with a group of indigenous people called the Ashaninka, and did a study there that concluded also plant medicine, which is part of their culture. And so was really been doing that for a little bit of time now, and for several years. And so that was my understanding of healing, and there's a lot of hype around plant medicine right now. Everybody wants to go drink ayahuasca. There's a lot of things about different types of medicinal plants, and people are wanting to experience it, and I think it's good, because even if it's maybe a little bit out of alignment in some ways, because that also exists, it's encouraging people to at least go towards enlightenment and connection, and most importantly, healing. That cannot happen without connection. So all of these different things, that I'm briefly highlighting here, are ways in which how my path has been so far, since 2016, and how it has changed. And from plant medicine, I never stopped meditating, even though I was engaged pretty heavily with the supporting of and my studies with different indigenous people groups, and also plants. I also never stopped the breath work. I never stopped the meditation and all these things, but they did change. And so from there, the things have really been evolving for me. But when I got Reiki initiated and Magnify Healing, which I'm not going to talk a lot about Magnify Healing because it is something that is, it's more protected, and I want to really protect that. Part of that, the beauty of it, if you are interested in Magnify Healing, reach out to me privately, and we can go from there about getting you to the right people on that they can speak more into it. But it's not like a secret. There's just so much to talk about that we are held to a standard to talk about, and that's just simply to protect the purity, the essence of it. That's where you're not going to find a lot of information on it. And so anyway, when I got initiated with Reiki level 1 and 2 and in Magnify Healing, which are two separate things, but both work with energy, it expanded and opened. It expanded what I had already understood and had already been experiencing within myself, outside of plant medicine and within medicine, around energy. And it really expanded that place, even completely, far more than anything I could have ever imagined, in the evolution of how to heal and how to expand and ascend as humans. And that's what I really want to talk about, because that is very much in alignment with what I had already received prior to getting initiated and prior to this experience that I recently had. I just got back from my trip a few days ago. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. So with all this being said and all this in mind, when I said that there are things that are going to be happening in the next couple of years from this planetary alignment event that took place, one of the things in which many people are talking about, you can search on it. There's been other channelers, other folks who are connected to receiving messages from other beings or other realms that talk about March, and specifically March 21st being a very pinnacle moment for us in humanity. And so that is in alignment with what I'm talking about here in my own personal story, and how I'm wanting to connect this with that is that in the evolution of my own story of spirituality, of healing, the idea of healing, the idea of of releasing, and more importantly, I would say expanding or evolving, is very much of what is happening on a much larger scale as well. What I mean by this is we are all evolving, and collectively we are a consciousness, we are humans. And then if we expand from the human perspective, then we are beings on this human, right? We have a soul, we have a spirit, which is energy. Let's just simplify it as energy. And within our own species, there are other species, animals, insects, and other beings that live on this planet. And then from that perspective, then we have the planet in itself, which we are part of, just how our cells are part of our body. I always get myself with incense, but I have to have them because they help me. It's part of the experience. Anyway, so yeah, just like the earth and us, we are the earth as ourselves are us on the earth, if that makes sense. So it's all on a micro and macro scale, working together. It's all one, if you will. And so what I'm trying to say is that within this, everything is evolving. Everything, and the idea of evolution and evolving simply means changing, the transformation. Because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can be transmuted or changed from one aspect to another. And so the idea of expansion, the idea of ascending, and all of these different expressions simply means that we are changing. We are changing maybe low vibrational states of the way we think to higher, more positive, or lower vibrational ways in which we feel, which are often connected to, which are also connected to our thoughts, into higher vibrational ways of feelings, right? Feeling of love, feeling of compassion, feeling of peace, feeling of patience, all these things, speaking from an expression of vibration, of energy, and that which we are expressing it from a measurable perspective, just to put it into terms. So we are changing, and so is everything in our universe. So that being said, things changing. Notice how I didn't say things are changing from good to bad or from bad to good. Because that is a very linear expression, right? That to label something as good or bad It's not really the way I want to express this, because it's not good or bad. It's just a change, right? That is different. And that difference can be interpreted or perceived by each one of us differently. And because it can be perceived by each one of us differently, it's valid, right? Because that's how we are engaging. We are interpreting, or we are receiving, or we are engaging with that energy. But on a much common space, or rather concrete space, it's just changing, right? So within that, this is what's happening in around this March area, 21st time frame, where we are really going to be met with a frequency that's going to be coming in. It's a conscious frequency that is part of the evolution of, as I expressed, everything within the universe, including us. But more so, specifically speaking, and like zooming a little bit more in so we don't get lost on our planet. So the beautiful thing about, and the interesting thing about being a human being on this planet is that the idea of free will, of choice. And why is interesting is because there are certain rules, and there are certain let's just put it like in this way, like rules where some other expressions of energies have to obey by those rules, or engage by those rules of frequencies. But the idea of like being a battle, like a spiritual battle or anything like this, it's also very real. And it's not like a battle, of swords and guns and things like this, but it's an energy battle. It's to put it into expression. And that we experience within ourselves as beings who are here, that we are able to make choices, and we have free will. That is the diversity that we experience. Like, we can be experiencing like such joy, such, oh my gosh, I feel amazing, and then let's just say like a trigger comes, or a wound comes up, or a thought comes through that's lower vibrational, right? Let's just put it this way. And then you're navigating the negotiation, if you will, of whether you're going to engage with that or not. Well, that energy is there. It's present. Yes, you're feeling it. However, you have the choice to engage with it. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to engage with it, or not, or engage in a different frequency. And so this is the idea of like the battle, right? It's been happening. We've all experienced it. I know I have, and from time to time continue to have those moments in my life where it's like, this is coming through. And this is the importance of the practice of being the observer, which, we can talk about this some other time. But to get back into topic, so this battle, this shift of energy, if you will, and how we as human beings play a role of, or have the ability of free will, and what that means is quite remarkable, and it plays a big role into what I want to talk about here within this conversation. So how do I want to put this? So on March 21st, basically what's here, or what's going to happen, is that we're going to have to decide Are we going to open ourselves to the exploration, and are we willing to engage from the heart and into these higher frequencies that are going to be present? Or will we stay with our own stories, more in the mind, the distractions, the superficial, the materialistic, the linear way of thinking and being, fear, especially fear-based ways of living? Or will we step into the unknown and into a higher frequency? Those who make the choice to expand, to evolve, to raise their own vibration, and to be a part of this energy that's going to be present here, to evolve with the earth, it's going to be an opportunity to experience life like we've never experienced it before. And I don't even know what that looks like. I get impressions, and that impression is the shift of realities. It's the best way I can express that. And I've already experienced that in my Reiki and Magnify healing experience that I recently had, and where I was mind blown, to be honest. But at the same time, I was mind blown. But at the same time, like, I knew that this was there. I knew that it existed, but I just had never experienced it at that level. And that was really powerful and really beautiful. And so it opened a completely different reality to me. And so that's what I'm talking about. That those who will step into will be able to, what we thought was impossible, what we thought was once one way or a reality, will start to fade away, and we will trust and lean into our abilities, our connection and ascension into the reality that also exists, that we have access to engage with at this time. And that's really exciting. And so this will resonate with those who are in the path, who have been in the path. Even if you are new into your spiritual journey, for example, that's why awakenings are happening very quickly right now. And I heard this, and I agree with that. I witnessed my own brother, my blood brother, go through he's still going through his awakening, and it's truly impressive, to say the least, and just amazing to see how quickly things are happening for him. And there's a lot there. There's a soul level acknowledgement within everybody that's choosing to step into this beautiful opportunity, that they knew, that perhaps you're one of these people that coming here before that you can remember that you came here for this. And so it's happening. It's happening quick, because it needs to be like that for what's happening far larger than ourselves. And the more of us that we choose to say yes, then that energy expands, and it helps others as well. And so that's how, by helping ourselves, by healing ourselves, we are helping humanity. We are helping consciousness. And so just to bring it back a little bit to why I was sharing, I think I want to talk about that. My experience, a little bit of my path. I was some highlights from meditation to breath work, plant medicine, and different modalities and things like this to where I'm now, because I had a really strong experience. What felt like an ego death that I didn't realize it was happening after my initiation towards the end of the retreat. And I went through a pretty deep process, which I recently came out of. And so this is very fresh, but I want to talk about it because I feel it's important and that it's related to this. Because for so long, since 2016, which is not a long time, but it's a pretty decent amount of time. I would say, I've done all these things on my own. I've done my studies and spiritually, but it's all on my own. Even my studies in the rainforest and stuff like that, like the medicine teaches you. That's the expression, you learn from engaging with the medicine and ceremony. You learn about yourself. You learn about, different, the spiritual realm and all these things. And there's a lot there. But in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is everything has been my internal guidance. Okay, I need to go to the jungle. I need to go to the Amazon. I need to study. But there's the indigenous don't teach, at least for me, yes, they do. They have wisdom. They do share many things. It's, verbal and things like that. But it's very different. It's not like you take a course, there's none of that. It's very different. And because of that, I believe in many ways it's beautiful because you're kind of forced to to open yourself and to engage more with awareness. The teachings are there and they're not going to be forced. They're not going to be also given to you in a platter. It's there, and some of them might be coded, if you will, and it's up to you if you want to work on decoding those teachings. And so for me, it was something that this plant medicine and everything I've been doing was very personal, very, very personal, and was very I've done a lot of healing with plant medicine and just in my path as I've been sharing with you. And so so there was a comment that was made, and that was talking about now you don't have to do all these fancy things, like you see shamans or you see some spiritual workers that they do all these things to heal people. You don't have to do any of that. Now you're starting to engage in how you can work with energy in a much more advanced way without having to make a scene, make a show about it. And it really triggered me, and I didn't understand why at the time, because I took it personal. I'm like, why is this person? This feels like a judgment. This feels like they're degrading, people who do this work instead of just being respectful. That's how some people work, and it's for the greater good. They're still helping people. But anyway, I don't believe that was the intention. That's just how I took things. I took things that way. I perceived them that way, just because of my studies and the respect that I have for the shamans that I have worked with. The pages, the leaders, indigenous leaders and masters and teachers that do those things. But I've seen it. I've seen that it's real. It's not some show. Although that it's there. It does exist. There are a lot of non real things. People are just doing things just to make it seem like something, just to put on a show, just to be honest. But there's also a lot of if you are really aligned and you are with a teacher or a shaman, page that is actually a healer, then you will experience that firsthand, which I have, and I've seen it many, many, many times. Anyway, so that was triggering for me. It was really triggering, and I took that personal because I have a lot of love and respect for the indigenous people. And also because it was part of my path, how I healed. Not that plant medicine was everything, but it was a big portion of it as well. A lot of deep healing, a lot of deep things, deep expansion happened in these ceremonies with plant medicine, which concluded, chanting, concluded, the pages, doing working with energy is how I see it. So anyway, that really put me into a position of feeling really frustrated and upset, and to a lower vibrational energy. And basically, without going too much further into detail about that, what the realization came after I was able to just process and really take a moment to digest and unpack what that really was. It was this ascension, this change that, for example, Reiki and magnified healing are different remedies and tools that are, in my expression, high frequency tools. Like, they are, without a doubt, in my being, high frequency, elevated frequencies. Yeah, let's just put it that way. Practice and practices. And so it's not that the shamanism work or the plant medicine work, it's not a comparison. It's not a degrading or this and that. It's just kind of like, the best way I'm going to explain this and how I like to do it actually would be like this, is how comparing Reiki with magnified healing. Reiki is more in the material. Reiki works the body. Reiki works clearing the energy bodies, clearing the chakras and bringing that energy of Reiki, and through the hands, through yourself and through the hands, applying that energy into that person to give him the opportunity for them to work, to heal. And it's very material as far as like here in the physical. I'm just giving like a super brief for those of you who are Reiki initiatives or practice Reiki. It's very, very like simple. It's just for this example purpose, just to be clear. There's a lot more to Reiki, I know. But anyway, so we have that, and which does heal, and it is recognized, by even science. That's why in hospitals you can receive Reiki as well, because it's been proven that it does. They have seen physical changes when people receive Reiki in hospitals. They have seen positive results or changes when it is applied. So it is recognized by science, although it is not fully understood. Okay, so that's one example. And then magnified healing, on the other hand, is not so much that, right? Magnified healing, it's what feels like to me of direct, the best way I can explain to you is direct source. It's working directly with source energy and utilizing that to, yes, heal yourself, but it's like on the spirit level, on like the different planes level. Not like, yes, of course, like physical, it's part of that, But again, that's more like the Reiki, in my opinion. And also not just to heal yourself and others through magnified healing, but also the earth, the planet. And it is an energy that evokes enlightenment. Yeah, that's what I want to say. That it's the practice of connecting with your soul, right? And ascending your physical self into the energy of your soul. And again, there's a lot more here, but that's what I want to say. And so why am I sharing this with you? Because it's related to what I was trying to explain, like with shamanism and all the other things. Like, it's not the one is better or the other one. It's that they have different roles. And a lot of, these plant medicines and things like this, traditions, they are good and they have their purpose. And I have nothing against them. I just want to be extremely clear on that. I'm just using this example from my own experience as an expression and an example of evolution, of expansion, and how that can be uncomfortable or that can be confusing perhaps at times when we are talking about these energies that are coming through. Okay. And so what I'm trying to say is that there is so many ways nowadays to evolve your soul, to heal, to expand consciousness, to ascend. There's so many ways, and there's no right or wrong way. It's not about that. There's just different ways to do it. But within each way, there are certain frequencies that you are engaging with. And so that is also there for a reason. If you are a person, if you can think about yourself 5 years ago, how different you were, even if it's a small difference. I'm sure that if you're watching this, if you're attracted to this kind of content, you can reflect that there's been a lot of changes in the past 5 years. I know there has been for me, for sure, a bunch. So in that reflection, we can recognize that what we perceived or understood or the way we experienced life back then in reflection to where we are now is very different. The way we thought, the way we perceived, the way we were engaging with our thoughts, with our emotions, with energy, right? And so within that, if you could imagine taking this current version of yourself back to that 5 years ago as in a different physical body, but still you're conscious, talking to your version, to yourself of 5 years ago, to the version of yourself from 5 years ago, would you say that there are probably many things that you have an understanding now that you didn't then, that even if you talk to yourself then, you wouldn't understand? Hopefully that made sense. And what I'm trying to say is, like, what you needed to go through from that 5 years ago to now, and everything you went through in between, you needed to go through all those things in order to get where you are today. So I'm talking about the evolution between 5 years ago and now of yourself, and how that evolution has changed in your perception and perspective and engagement of yourself and life. And how if you took what you know now and you just shared it as a stranger in the streets or whatever to somebody, to yourself back then, you wouldn't be able to grasp, to really take all of it, perhaps, more than likely, right? Because of the frequency that you were engaging with back then and the frequency you are engaging now. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a remedy, there are practices, and within practices there are like depths is the way I want to say it. I don't want to say layers, but there are depths in which how deep, how profound you want to get into that practice, in which can expand you and expand more, of your field of energy, engagement with energy. That's why I'm not saying like comparing like plant medicine with Reiki or yoga or whatever, because it's not about a comparison, but it's the recognition that every single one of these practices has its own path and frequencies. And some of them, in my humble opinion, do have some limitations. I could be wrong. That's just what I feel, and because when I say limitations, I'm wanting to express like linear, like it's just because it goes on forever, right? In theory, but it's just linear. Where there are other ones that have more, there's more broadness, right? It's infinite, like everything, but the expands a lot more with a lot more width. I hope I'm making sense. So anyway, just to circle it back now to this March 21st situation or date, that is pretty much what's going to be, the energy is going to be present. Dolores Cannon talked about this, how there would be two earths into one, and that's basically what's happening. And we're in March already, March 13th today. So it's happening. And what she meant by that is like those that choose not to change or engage in different frequency, these people are gonna still continue to experience turmoil, continue to experience like low vibrational feelings and engaging in how they're engaging with things on this planet. And then those of us who are choosing to ascend, those of us who are choosing to work with this energy, it doesn't mean that we're not going to feel challenges, because challenges are not a bad thing, in my opinion. Again, it's not about labeling, but for me, challenges are really opportunities. It's like how growth happens. It's every one of us experienced challenge from when we were toddlers, when we wanted to learn how to walk. It was challenging for all of us. But it was necessary for us to evolve from crawling to walking, right? And then so on and so on and so forth. Like we've all experienced the idea of challenges in our lives, but oftentimes, at least for myself, every challenge has brought a teaching, has brought an expansion, has brought something that has evolved my conscious, my mind, myself in general. So it's not that there isn't going to be any challenges for those of us who choose to go deep within the heart, but everything is going to be looked at and engaged with from a different field of energy, more in the heart. I was like, okay, wow, this is I'm feeling intense. So instead of feeling fear, right, maybe we take a deep breath and then we go to the heart, and we go into trust and we pray or we connect with our field of energy. We understand how we are engaging with energy, and we choose to understand how we can calibrate ourselves to be at a higher frequency. And it doesn't mean that you're always going to be high, because I feel, again, the balance is everything. It's about balance. So to feel at peace, for example, it's for me, it's like the balance. That's like my state, is like I don't have to feel angry. I can feel, or I can, okay, that's how I want to say. I don't have to engage in being angry. I can feel frustrated, or I can feel angry, meaning like, oh, like the feeling is here, but I don't have to engage in it by like, okay, I'm gonna engage in fear, and I'm gonna, or in anger, and I'm gonna be angry, and I'm gonna be angry. So instead of like, okay, you know, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry, whatever it is, take a deep breath to calm the nervous system and allow yourself to feel that in a safe space, right? Whatever it is in that situation, like anger or whatever it is, and then learn from that feeling and ascend, evolve from that feeling. And that's more and more of releasing those types of energies. So when things like that come, we learn how to be the observer and how to essentially make a decision how we want to engage with those energies. So that's what I want to express when I say that those of us who choose to be more in the vibration of what's going to be happening, this big shift on the 21st, roughly, it's going to be like that. So it doesn't mean that challenges are not going to show up, to see if, okay, do you really want to be on this path? Are you sure? Or do you want to continue to stay in the same story, the same cycles, right? So wherever you are in your path, you know, here I had someone reach out that they ran into one of my YouTube videos. Like, I think it was several years ago. I did a hape or rape. It's like this Amazon medicine that that I did a video on, and someone reached out to me a few days ago, like, oh yeah, like I've recently came across it, and my friend shared my video or your video with me, and she lives in Europe and stuff, and anyway, and like she's stepping into the spiritual path through rape or hape. So that video had a purpose, you know, just because like maybe I'm not going to be doing like hape as much anymore, engaging with hape as much anymore. I'm going to be working with this new energy more that I'm learning, this study, this understanding. It doesn't mean like, okay, I'm hape is not good anymore. No, it's quite the contrary. It's the understanding of the plant medicine, the meditation, the breath work, the mantras, the chantings, the songs, the singing bowls, all the different ways, yoga, you know, movement, and so on and so on and so forth. They're all expressions, and they're all different ways to really connect. It's really what it is. And to work the spirit, work our psyche, work our subconscious and conscious mind into the evolution, to the shift. Oh, anyway, that was really weird. That's all I'm gonna say for now. I think I'm gonna wrap it up at there, but I hope this makes sense, and just be aware, you know, around, not even, don't wait until the 21st, but just be aware and what are the shifts and the changes that are coming up for you. I know there's been a lot of things for me since I've been back from my trip, and I've been working on that, and I am still working on that, on the awareness of, wow, like these are some cycles, you know, that I'm engaging with, or that I see that I need to let go of in order to evolve, in order to really have a different experience. And you know, a lot of it's been something that I've been aware for a while, but it's becoming more and more pronounced, and the acknowledgement, taking the responsibility that also, you know, we can meditate, we can do all these things, and they're great and they're good and they help, and yes, 100% we can drink the medicine, we can do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, on a much more simple much more simple terms, it all comes down to the choices we make, what we do after that we meditate, what we do after we drink those, we engage with plant medicine, or we do yoga, or whatever it is. Because if you're going and doing yoga and you're meditating, but then you go and you're eating excessively and you're eating unhealthy and you're feeding your body unhealthy foods or toxic food, then there's a lack of alignment there. There's an unbalancing there. And so it's about really taking a look into everything in our lives. And if we really want to 100% be not just 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but all feet in, all in 100%, are we willing truly to step up into the changes that we know we have to make? Because that is where everything really is going to change, and is going to change humanity as well. And so I hope that this was helpful, and I hope it gave you some perspectives and realizations perhaps into some things that may be going on in your life. And I hope it inspired you to step 100% both feet into your path, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, and to trust that. And just, we could not be living in a more exciting and better time, as we are entering new cycles of higher frequencies. We are supported to evolve, and we are supported to these experiences. And so thank you so much again for tuning in and for your support. As always, please like and share this with your friends, with people who you think could benefit from this. It's not about, I don't care about the channel, or I don't make money from this stuff, or that's not my focus. It's about sharing the message. Let's help me help others. Let's help as many people as we can to the best capacity that we can, because we are all going through it. We're all going through different things in our lives, and the time to unite is now. It's here. And that's my intention when I make these videos. It's I'm showing up here from my heart 100%. There's no conditions, there's no agenda, there's nothing like that. It's just pure service from my heart to yours. And so I hope this was helpful. Again, I'm sending you lots of light, lots of love, lots of blessings and harmony into your life. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Just a smile, a simple gesture. And if someone is kind to you, and if you're able to, pass it forward. And let's just keep ascending. Let's keep vibrating higher. Let's keep tapping and exploring more of love, because it is all available and it's all beautiful. Until next time, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor.